So picture this, right? You wishlist a horror game, you're buzzing, you tell your mates down the pub, a few years go by and you get on with your life. You have a kid, that kid learns to walk, that kid starts school, that kid is now asking what in the world is a wish list, and the game is still coming soon. I wish I was joking, Pack, because I am not. Today's deep dive comes with its own subplot, and that subplot is time itself. Welcome back to the channel, I'm Cyberwolf, and this one's a big one. We are going full deep dive into Dark Fractures. The story, visuals, sound, the characters, the platforms, and yes, we are absolutely going to talk about the release date situation, because it deserves its own true crime documentary at this point. Let's get into it. Dark Fracture is being made by Twisted 2 Studios, a small indie team out of Israel, proper scrappy indie outfit, not a AAA machine with a marketing department the size of a small country, and it's published by Feardemic, who, if you've been in this corner of YouTube for a while, you'll recognise as a publisher with a serious eye for horror. It's first person, it's psychological horror with a big scoop of cosmic horror on top. And honestly, that flavour combination should not work as well on paper as it does in the trailers. You're playing Edward, late 90s setting, isolated forest in the northeastern United States, and he works at a body farm. Now, for anyone who just went, sorry, a what farm? Yes, that's a real thing. It's a decomposition research facility. Scientists study how bodies break down in different conditions to help with forensics. It is generally unsettling real job that exists. Dark Fracture looked at that and went, yeah, this is our horror game location. And honestly, respect, that dedication is the bit. Edward himself is carrying some serious baggage, tragic past, self-medicating just to function, completely isolated out here in the middle of nowhere. He's got a routine, and that routine is the only thing holding him together. And then, obviously, because this is a horror game and not a wellness retreat, the midnight shift happens and everything goes sideways. The world starts flickering between the body farm and this other place the devs call the Underworld, a parallel alien dimension that starts bleeding into reality. And the game keeps poking you to the same question over and over. Is this actually happening around Edward, or is this entirely inside Edward's mind? A classic unreliable narrator setup. And when a game commits to that properly, it's some of the best horror storytelling you can get, because the monster isn't just in the room, it might be the narrator. Now here's where it gets generally interesting, and where I want to slow down, because there's more meat on the bone than a man sees monster and man screams. First up, the storyline is confirmed to be non-linear. So we're not talking about a straight corridor from A to B. This is branching, and the developers have been explicit that your decisions shape Edward's actual fate, with multiple outcomes. Will you save him? Will you condemn him? That's not just marketing fluff, that's baked into the design pitch from day one. Second, this is the bit that gets me. The tagline for the story is literally trust nothing and no one. Because Edward isn't alone out there. There are other employees at the body farm, and the game promises complex characters whose intentions are, quote, anything but clear. Are they friends or foes?
It's suffocating. Darkness. Corridors stink. I can't get the smell out of my nose. The whispers won't shut up, and every shadow seems to haunt me. Just keep them away from me. I just want to know the truth.
Officially, no named side character has been detailed publicly yet, so I'm not going to sit here and invent some bloke called Gary who's secretly a cultist, tempting as that is, but the setup screams workplace paranoia thriller wearing a body horror coat. and I am fully on board. Third, the horror isn't scripted the same way twice. Dark Fracture uses randomly generated paranormal events, which means the disturbing stuff you run into and when it happens isn't fixed. It shifts based on your sanity meter, which is basically your resolve stat. Apparently the lower it gets, the worse things get for you, and encounters don't fire on the nice and predictable schedule.
I need the truth. Why am I doing all these things you ask? Why are you in my head? I just want to live my life. It was just a job, nothing more. Just a job.
So no watching a walkthrough and thinking, ah yes, there's a jump scare about to happen. Every playthrough is meant to be its own unique, miserable experience. Generally smart design, if it holds up. And the whole thing sits on top of the inventory and physical item system, so you're not just wandering around admiring the scenery. You're solving puzzles, carrying things, and apparently dual wielding items, which just means you can hold two things at once and use them together to get past obstacles. Simple idea, but it adds a nice bit of tactical problem solving to what could otherwise be a walking simulator with a jump scare budget. So to summarise the story pitch in one sentence, you have an isolated man, haunting job, untrustworthy co-workers, a sanity bar ticking down, and a doorway to somewhere that should not exist. A chef kiss, honestly. Visually, this is where Dark Fracture earns some real bragging rights, because the developers have openly named their inspiration and it's not subtle. They're going for H.R. Geiger and Brzezinski. If you know your horror art, you already felt that in your chest a little. Geiger gives you that biochemical, flesh fused with machinery dread. Think alien, think why does that wall look like it's breathing? Brzezinski gives you the surreal, decaying, almost dream logic apocalyptic landscapes where nothing is quite where gravity says it should be. Smash those two things together and point it at the underworld section of this game that looks completely wrong in a way that's hard to describe until you're staring at it at 1 AM regretting your life choices. The body farm side, by contrast, is aiming for a much more grounded, photorealistic look, which again, smart contrast. It means when reality starts folding in on itself, it actually feels like something's gone wrong, rather than, oh, we've changed the colour filter. They've also shown off some enemy designs, including mutated insectoid creatures that have apparently leaked in from the underworld. Small, and many of them exactly the kind of things that make your skin crawl without needing to be 12 feet tall and roaring at you. It is worth flagging that most of what's public right now comes from the free prologue and a handful of trailers, not the finished game. So there's every chance the final release looks even sharper than what we've seen so far. Sound is where psychological horror either earns its stripes or completely embarrasses itself, and from what we've been shown, the team seems to be putting time into this rather than just slapping a scary stingwave file onto a jump scare. Across updates to the free prologue, the developers have specifically talked about improving the voice acting, rebalancing the volume mix, and refining the ambient design across both the body farm and the underworld sections. The vibe they seem to be chasing is less loud bang you jump, more something in the corridor sounds subtly incorrect, and I cannot tell why. What we do know is that the audio's already been through multiple public revision passes based directly on community feedback from the demo, which at minimum tells us it's a priority for the team and not an afterthought bolted onto the end. Okay, deep breath. This is the section pack. Grab your popcorn. Dark Fracture was originally targeted to be full released in 2021, then it became 2023, then it became 2024, then it became 2025, and here I am filming this in the middle of 2026, and there's still no confirmed release date. At this rate, the game is going to release the same week they finally make Cold Fusion work. Now, to be fair to the team, because I'm not here just to dunk a small indie studio for the sake of a laugh, This isn't abandonment. They've been quietly grinding on it since 2019. They brought Feardemic on board specifically to help expand platform support. The game's even picked up a most anticipated nomination at the Horror Game Awards, so the industry hasn't forgotten its existence either. The developers themselves have actually addressed the quiet stretches too, saying part of it is a deliberate choice. They don't want to spoil their own scares by showing too much too soon, which credit where it's due is generally a defensible reason, but after this many calendar flips, I think it's fair to say that patients in that Discord server must be wearing thinner than a plot armor on a horror movie's first victim. So here's your straight answer. No spin, no clickbait. There is currently no confirmation of a release date for Dark Fracture, so if you see a headline somewhere swearing it drops next month, I'll treat that with the same suspicion you treat the friendly NPC in this game. Platforms, thankfully, are the one part of this that's exactly been consistent the whole way through. Dark Fracture is confirmed for PC via Steam, PlayStation 5 and PlayStation 4, Xbox Series X and S and Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch, so full cross-generation spread, which is generally ambitious for a small team, and if I'm honest, probably part of why we are still here waiting. If you want a taste right now rather than waiting for whatever year this actually lands, Dark Fracture's prologue is free on Steam and it'll give you a proper feel for the tone, the body farm, and a glimpse into the underworld before the full thing exactly surfaces. So that's Dark Fracture, a game with generally striking horror pedigree, a story premise with real psychological teeth, and a trust no one setup I am fully invested in, and a development timeline that has honestly become part of its own folklore. Whether it drops this year, next year, or becomes the horror gaming equivalent, I will be here tracking every twitch of that Steam news page for you. If you've played the prologue already, tell me down in the comments below, did it actually get under your skin, or did it feel like a tech demo with a spooky coat of paint? I'll pin the best one. If you've enjoyed this video, please drop a like, a subscribe if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss on the next one.